2 of the relationship discussion, where tonight we have the guys here ready to give their perspective and their views on the topic.
We're your hosts, Christina
and Kenisha.
and we hope that tonight's session will be one that you enjoy.
That's right. So let's now introduce our guys. I guess you guys can just introduce yourselves. Go ahead.
I'm Delroy. I'm Kelechi.
I'm Alex.
Okay. How are you guys feeling? You look a little stiff. Like, just shake it out a little bit, you know?
Well, we kind of just ready, you know.
We're good.
We're
good.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
go.
get right into the
Jump
questions
into
then.
it.
Alright, so this is it's not going to be directed to anybody specifically, it's just, in general. So if whoever wants to start first, that would be fine. So the first question is, as Christian males, do you believe in setting a high standard for yourself when courting a female?
Yes.
Okay, can you explain why?
Because as a Christian, you're carrying the church, you're carrying God wherever you go. It's something that's always conscious in your mind. So even when you're, courting or dating, as we prefer to call it, you have to carry yourself a particular way because that's just how it is. If you're at work, you carry yourself as a Christian. That doesn't change in the dating arena.
Okay. Is that right? You feel the same?
I feel the same.
So do I.
I would say, as Christians and then further as Seventh-day Adventists, setting high standards is what, we live by, and I think that's just the way every single decision we make is determined through a high standard.
Okay.
In terms of high standard, are we talking about like the female or
As for yourself, yeah. Like, when you're looking for a lady, what are your standards for yourself? Do you want this type of girl? Like, one who always goes out, who doesn't really come to church, whatever
Okay.
the case is.
well, yeah, we should have high standards as Christians.
Okay. So before we talked about, you mentioned something, Alex, in terms of courting and dating. Is there a difference between both of them, or is it just one is more a modern name for the other?
I would say it's just a modern name because dating, courting, dating has evolved. It's not like back in the day when, you would go and the father would find, or the family would find, a wife for his son, or, the reverse. We've evolved to the point now where dating has become this kind of new beast, so to speak. It's not the same as back then, it's a lot more dynamic, a lot has changed, and, as Christians, that's the main question that comes up, how do we respond to the change that has occurred in dating? Do we follow the trend, or do we set, a different standard altogether? That's the main question I think, most Christians face in their day-to-day.
Anybody else? Alright, so, okay. How do you go about finding a girl? Like, what do you look for when you're trying to find, a female partner? Or like a girlfriend? What do you look for? Are there specific qualities or traits?
Well, I think the most important quality is their personality.
Okay.
You could start with that, and from there, if they pass the personality test, you could begin to fine-tune and pick and choose.
So it's a personality test?
Well, they have to meet the requirements. There's not a test, but
Requirements? What requirements? We're
Well,
trying to get an inside view
okay.
of how you guys, so you have to let us know.
okay, the mere fact that I will consider dating somebody, it means that I know them, I know how they move, I have interacted with them, and I like what I have seen, so therefore I will continue. But if not, there will be no consideration.
Okay. That's the same thing else?
No. You asked the question, how do we go about looking? And it's not such a issue as looking. It's just you have to let it happen, and it only happens in groups where you're friends with certain individuals. Let's say you got on a mixed group with individuals that are male and female, and then you're already friends with these people, that's when you start to become more attracted to a particular female in that setting, as opposed to saying, I need to find a woman, let me go and see which one is the best one to find. You kind of would be defeating the purpose of it, or even wasting your time.
Okay, so you prefer for it to happen naturally than going out on a prowl.
Yeah, that's actually creepy too.
Like collaboration.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, I'm just gonna be honest. Would you ask what was the question again? You asked what were the qualities you look for in a partner?
Qualities or traits.
That's as in the first time you see somebody. What do you look at?
Well, yes, I guess if you want to put it like that.
I mean, look, if you're interested in a person, what are you interested in? I'm just trying to understand. Okay. Well, to be honest, she's gotta be, pretty. If she ain't pretty, guys, you're not gonna.
By default, you wouldn't get attracted to her if she's your friend.
Exactly. I mean, it sounds nice to say personality first, but
Yeah.
you're attracted. Yeah, you have to find something has to attract you when you see her. You know?
So, go ahead.
Right. So something has to attract you. So she looks good. That's the first thing you're gonna see, of course. And of course, her personality has to be, good as well. But
You only find out that kind of stuff.
yeah, you only find that out after you've made the mental conscious decision that you're gonna pursue her in the first place.
Right, okay. We'll take that, sounds wonderful.
Alright, so next question is, what is your love language? There are 5 categories we will look at. Words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch.
Like what one or blend do you think fits your personality, your character?
Go over the 5 again.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Repeat.
Affirmation, words, receiving of gifts, physical touch, quality time, and acts of service.
And we have to pick 2.
It doesn't have to
No,
be, it's just what
it
you
could be
think.
Oh, no,
Okay.
Okay, for me, you want me to go first? All right. For me, I already knew. For me, it's words of affirmation first. That's a big thing for me. I need a hair. I need a hair. And I'm one of those people. I need to know, what is our relationship, what is, going on between us. What am I to you? I need a hair. That's me. Affirmation. Also touch. Touch is big for me. Words of affirmation is the number one though.
You want to hear that appreciation.
Yeah, you gotta hear it. You gotta hear it. That's important. That goes a long way. I mean, for other people, it's not as big, but for me, that's a big thing.
Yeah. I kind of agree with him. Words of affirmation. Probably then, I think acts of kindness,
Acts of service.
acts of service, quality time, and the least is probably receiving gifts.
Okay. But you just want to receive something other than,
Yeah, but
maybe once in a while.
Yeah, but it's not really important.
Okay.
My biggest one would be physical touch. Would be first, then followed by acts of service and maybe words of affirmation. But it's more so a blend of everything. But yeah, it's in the order. Physical touch, I would say, is the most because I'm not a person that like people touching me. So when I'm actually in a relationship, that's the only person I want to touch because it's more intimate for me than for other people. Like sometimes you would have your friends and they're ready to douse you and embrace you and all that. Engagement, I don't want it unless because that's my personal space and that's only the person in a relationship in that space. Yeah.
Okay. So, females tend to hear that guys don't think the way we do. So what are some misconceptions we have for you guys that you want to tell us?
Pertaining to relationships.
Pertaining to relationships.
Men don't talk, or they
You don't talk.
Or we don't
not
understand.
in other words, men aren't in tune with their feelings. That's one misconception.
Yeah, that's a misconception.
As in cat.
As in what?
As in catching feelings, men don't.
No. As in like they don't talk about their feelings or that is a misconception to me. I feel like some men, maybe not all men, but most men I think can communicate their feelings, but the way we communicate our feelings are just different than how a female would.
Okay.
And because of that, sometimes they tend to say, or most times they tend to say that we don't understand. And it's not that we don't understand, we do, but we just don't care sometimes.
We interpret things differently. Like, okay, if there's a problem, a good example, if there's a problem, a woman, she would want to talk about it, and talk about how she feels about it, how it affects her or whatever. Whereas a man, he would much rather, find the solution. The solution. We're more solution based. We're thinking, how do we solve the problem?
Okay. That's understandable. Well, right now we're just gonna give the guys a break, and we'll be right back.
Okay, welcome back, guys. So our next question for you guys is, what keeps your interest as Christian young men?
Interest in what?
For example, if you already
If you're-
past the courting stage of dating now, you're in a relationship, what is keeping you interested? Or what are you guys doing in terms of activities or stuff like that keeps your relationship going?
To me, keeping a relationship going is universal in that any relationship needs the same key things to survive. Communication, spending quality time with each other. All these things are universal when it comes to relationships. The same way you would keep your relationship with your friends going is the same way you would keep your relationship with your partner. There's almost, I don't like how we've created like this distinction between the two, because essentially it's a friendship that you're building. That's what a relationship is. It's you have to be able to communicate with that person, and you have to be able to share with that person, understand that person. That's the person who you're spending time with. That's gonna be your friend, your closest friend, because you're ultimately going towards marriage, presumably.
So, I have a question now. What if you're dating outside of the church? How do you feel about that?
It's like a totally new question. It has something to do with it.
It's just something he said that triggered the question to come.
Oh, so that's for him.
No, it's
No,
for
not
all of
for
you.
you.
It's for all of
Anybody
you.
who wants to answer.
When I hear dating outside the church, I hear complications, I hear problems, I hear stress.
Like what?
Like a lot of things. Like when I hear people say, "Oh, they don't see what's wrong with it," and then my mind races and I see like endless problems. Let's start with the ones that would pop up immediately. You eat as a Seventh-day Adventist, you don't eat certain things.
Right.
They eat certain things. Certain things that may or may not offend you depending on how you feel about it. That could be a source of contention. Another source of contention is church. How do you guys go to church together? Are you gonna go to their church on one Sunday and then your church on the next day? Are you gonna go to church twice a week?
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of work and confusion.
Exactly. And then it gets worse. I mean, what if you do get married? What does the child learn? Does their church line up with what their church teaches?
Right.
Which day would the child observe as the Sabbath? What did he eat? Daddy eats pork. Why can't I eat pork? Am I allowed to eat pork?
Right.
I agree with what
you
you said.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with what you said. I'd also like to add that there's more complications. Well, there's so many complications, but then we don't like complications as guys, so we wouldn't just up and decide, hey, I'm gonna date outside the church. There's just too much a headache, so we'd normally go the shortcut route and just stick to what is readily available. And normally, if you're in a group, of friends, then it's hard to say you're gonna find somebody outside the church when you're among a certain particular group that you're choosing from.
Well, I can't remember who, but somebody said earlier that if you're looking for somebody, it would be somebody that you are around often. So the only way you would end up with somebody outside the church is if you outside the church with people outside the church. So yeah.
Alright, so I have a question. When you're in church, right, and you have a group of friends, everybody's friends or family or whatever the case is, how would a girl know that you're interested in her? Because we're all friends, right? How
That's
would
easy
she
though.
know?
If you want a girl, you gotta let she know you want her. So
You just tell them.
No, but okay. All right. Let's be honest though, right? if a guy is attracted to a female, I'm pretty sure it becomes very obvious.
How?
What do you mean how? I mean if I'm laughing, if they're I know with girls they laugh at guys' jokes all the time. If you laugh at everything I say, you're attracted to me.
Not necessarily.
No, hang on. I mean, so like, if we like having one-on-one conversations, and you can't just take one cue and go with a cue, but there's various cues. I mean, if a guy is constantly, talking to you, even outside of the group, sending you text messages, hitting you up, asking you what you're doing, he's interested.
It's true. I mean,
9 out of 10.
He's gonna offer you a ride to church. He's gonna offer you a ride home. He's gonna drop you home last.
It's obvious. It doesn't even have to be said. Body language, eye contact,
even if you're
excessive
young,
eye contact.
you're gonna make sure you're sitting next to her. If you don't drive, you're gonna sit next to her in church. You're gonna sit next to her at socials.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna get her food.
Exactly.
You're gonna do the
Who
small
does
things
Who does that for friends?
Exactly.
Like, boy, get your own food.
I thinking a couple people in my head right now who've been doing that.
Now you get to the latest.
Bling. The light bulb came
I'm
on.
sorry to all the guys that have been doing it and I didn't catch it on.
Yeah, we didn't know. Sorry.
Thought we were mutually friends. Alright.
Okay. So, like, how long would a relationship take for you before you take it to the next level in terms of like commitment?
What's the next level?
Yeah.
You're dating. It's been I don't know how long it is you've been dating and what's that, and you feel that it's time to maybe pop that question. How long?
Which question?
I'm with you guys.
We're very specific.
You don't have real solidarity
Okay,
with that
ready to
question.
marry her. Right?
Uh-huh.
How long do you think? What's like your time
Time
span or whatever the case is?
Well, let's go biblical. That guy in the Bible who married Rachel, how long did he wait?
A long time.
7 years or something.
7 years and 7 years?
Yes.
14.
14 years, yeah, that's what it was. So I think that's a good
14 years.
14 years.
Yeah, why not?
That encompasses like the stages of a relationship. So like dating, courting, all of that would be the years together. Or are you talking about like that's how long you actually
I was kidding,
Oh,
but
because-
that was a joke, everybody. But no, I think
2 for me.
2 years?
4 years. I don't know.
But
4
then
years,
it
something.
depends on the what is happening in the 2 years. If you're away to school, then no, not 2 years.
Listen.
If you're living in a different country, then no, not 2 years. It's 2 years of
Seriously.
being in the same country, attending church together, doing things. 2 years of becoming best friends, basically.
Okay.
I mean, 2 years is still, to me, I just feel 2 years is still kind of abrupt. But what
that's
I've
the
learned,
minimum, yeah.
is the longer you take to get to know somebody, it could only be better.
Okay.
I would say 2 years is the minimum.
Because after a certain period of time, you really see habits and stuff like that.
That's exactly why you want to wait that long. And you don't want to, wait only 2 years to find out that there was certain qualities about a person that you didn't exactly like. I mean, most relationships kind of do end after that 2-year period. So that means that 2 years is just enough to know that person. And only to that extent, because you never really fully know somebody. People change, especially as young people. We're all young. We're all changing. The person we are today is not going to be the person we are 5 years from now. Guaranteed.
But do you think there's signs to see if the relationship you're in is either like wholesome or if it's just like an unhealthy thing for you to be in?
Absolutely.
Like, what are some of those signs from a male's perspective? Like, what do you see?
When it's unhealthy is when authority doesn't go both ways, and also there's too much of a tit for tat kind of thing. If I hit you by accident, I don't need you to retaliate and hit me back.
Like childish.
Not necessarily childish, but okay, let's say, for example, I drink more than you or eat more than you, right? So I take some of your juice, and then it's like, hey, you take some of my juice, I need to get back the same amount. You can't do that. Or let's say, I say, you know, I'm moving or I'm adjusting myself and you get hit. It's like, what you hit me for? And then you're ready to fire back. That just doesn't work. It's too much.
Yeah, or even in an argument, right?
Or in an argument.
Because, we're human, arguments happen, and you're going to argue, we don't see the things the same way. Arguments are going to happen, and how that person responds to arguments is a big indication as to how it's going to go. Because, especially with the little things, if they can't, resolve conflicts in a way that's, healthy and amicable, it could only get worse with really pressing issues.
Yeah, like finances.
Exactly, like finances or where we're gonna live, or when something happens,
Or
when something serious happens.
They're gonna use.
If they can't resolve conflict, that's it.
Yeah,
That's everything.
And within the 2 years, you have to at least see the person angry on several occasions.
I heard some good advice. If you want to know how somebody really is, like just find something and make them really angry. Just push their intentionally push their buttons just to see how they react. Because that's the reaction that you're gonna have to deal with.
In terms of being unhealthy, but I kind of young, so for me is more like getting to know somebody. So I guess I have been with my girlfriend for a year, and the only thing that I could talk about is an argument, because there's not much that happens at my age. So I guess arguments, and when the point of an argument is to prove your point rather than to resolve and straight compromise, that's when you know it's unhealthy.
Yep.
So piggybacking off of the general answers you guys been giving, there's been talks about guys not wanting to commit, having to commit in general. Is that true or false? Like they have a hard time committing.
I don't understand, but all of us commit to church, right? We commit to many different things. Men commit all the time. The problem is, when it comes to relationships, I think there's too much pressure put on defining clearly set rules for men and women. Like, they say men have to commit. I don't understand. What do they mean by commit? Are we talking about marriage? Or are we talking about relationships?
Maybe for like the important things. For like he said, like where we're going to live, stuff like that. We can't commit to a certain decision because maybe you're holding back on something else, or maybe marriage or whatever the case is. Like the big decisions.
But that comes back down to communication, honestly, because if you have a healthy relationship and you're having healthy communication, that shouldn't matter. That should be something that was discussed and everybody's feelings were out on the table.
Exactly.
If men are having a hard time committing, then it means that you have to go back to the drawing board. You obviously didn't uncover or discover enough about your spouse to about your partner to move forward.
Another good example of a big decision is when to have children, or if your partner wants to have children. If you hadn't talked about that from way before, then there's no reason to say he doesn't want to have children. You would have already known from way before how he feels about it, which is what he said about communication. He said that more leaning to the beginning of the question about commitment. We commit, but you have to, a lot of times when you think a man is not observing you carefully, we're watching every single detail, and if you're missing certain parts or you're not ready for a certain transition or not ready for the next step, then we're not going to even begin to show the signs of it. Because as far as we're concerned, your partner's not ready for it. We can read if a woman is ready to say she's ready to wake. We can tell if a woman is ready to wake up in the morning and make you breakfast. We can really tell. We can tell if you'd enjoy it or not, or just do it because you have to, or if you feel you have to do it. We can tell. If you feel that you're obligated, we can tell, and then we're not gonna move forward. We're gonna think, she's not ready.
She's only doing this for this.
Okay. what final Christian advice would you give both male and female viewers regarding relationships?
What final advice?
Yes.
To give women?
Both male and female regarding relationships.
Ultimately, I would say follow your heart. Let conscience be a guide. And if something is wrong, you would know. And you should not be in something that you're not comfortable in. So if you use common sense and your heart, you should be okay.
So when you follow your hands is the wrong choice.
Yeah, I wouldn't say follow your heart, because from personal experience, following your heart just leaves you in a whole heap of problems. That's my take on it. I believe in following, where you have a pair of knowledge that you were given, to be able to look at a situation, regardless of how you feel, and make decisions that you know are better for you. Because that ultimately they are. I've never heard somebody say, "Ah, man, I wish I had done, X or Y and followed my heart," when it came to, certain relationship decisions. Even when they do, it's usually still something that would have left them in a place that's questionable. I think, we need to be able to set aside, your feelings and follow, rational thought and what you know is best for you.
Right.
And that's the major thing with relationships, because, man, nothing worse than having to deal with, a problem that that you made a decision that took you down the wrong path because of how you felt. Feelings, they come and they go.
My final advice would be, if you, as men, we normally would be the one in pursuit or making the first choice to say, this is somebody I want to be in a relationship. Even if you didn't initially make the choice, she may have made the initiation to say she's interested. You still have the choice to say if you want to be in a relationship with her.
Yep.
If you guys come to the understanding that a relationship is hanging in the air, the first mission between both of you is to become friends. Form a friendship, and then make it into a relationship. That'll be my thing.
Well, thank you guys for joining us here tonight, and we just want to thank you guys for joining us here tonight. And we've heard a lot of information from the guys' perspective, and we hope that this might, if it doesn't pertain to you, might pertain to somebody else, and we want to just share that knowledge with them. And
So Khadija, did you enjoy tonight's session? Did you enjoy what the guys had to say?
I did. I kind of learned some new things I didn't know about when it came to how they think, and I just want to thank them for letting us know, giving us a good insight on it, and how we can, as ladies, do a better job, I guess, and learn to communicate more. Because from what we understand, they're not mind readers. They can't catch on to certain things like how we would think they would catch on. So it's just something from here to building better relationships.
Well, I've got to say that the guys were on point with their answers. It was well informative based on what you guys said, and I hope our viewers can take something from this. Thank you guys for tuning in again to TGIS.
Right? Don't forget to like us,
Comment,
post,
subscribe,
and share, because we're trying to spread this word, trying to spread the message as best as we can. So stay tuned for the next video.
see you.
Peace out.